So last week we did something interesting in going out to the community and asking what other things that you want us to talk about, what's interesting, and what, well, we got lots of different answers, but there were also many people reaching out separately, synchronicities around insomnia, and how Bufo can help with that. And I think that, always following the signs and synchronicity is what inspired the topic of today's live, which is how Bufo can help people who struggle with sleep. We're all acutely aware of how important sleep is for longevity, for health, for our general well-being. And yet, so many of us struggle to get a good night's sleep. I think particularly living in London, there's this chronic background noise, overstimulation. We're always running on an empty tank. And that's where Bufo can be super helpful. Have you noticed any changes in your sleep?
Have I noticed any changes? So sleep is so important, as you said. And where do I begin? There was a period in my life where I couldn't sleep. And for those who might not know my story, December 2014, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 bowel cancer, which became terminal. And I was medically, clinically dying. And I remember my head would hit the pillow each night. And the first question is, will I get any sleep? And if I do, will I wake up? Every single night. And a lot of nights I was awake. And so if the word to describe that is insomnia, then that was it. My mind was in survival mode. And it was hard. So that might sound, well, it is an extreme situation to be in. But I've also had those moments where someone's activated me day to day life, and all that's going on in my head is putting this wrong to right. And so I've experienced lack of sleep over an extended period for in different scenarios. But then getting back to a healthy level of sleep, I was tracking like my Aura Ring, my Apple Watch Ultra. So I was doing lots of things to optimize my sleep. But then last year, I got rid of all my tracking devices. Like I'd go to the gym and there's this body tracks machine where it would give me, like, you stand on it and it will send electrical impulses and it will tell you your muscle mass, your water mass. Like that was me completely like logical, wanting all the data. And I just gave it all up. Got rid of the ring, got rid of the watch. I go to the gym 4 times a week. I've never stepped back onto that machine, and I've not slept better. It's like my body knows. I don't need a device to tell me how well or bad I've slept. I know. And so first of all, it was getting rid of that. But going back to your question, I am sleeping so well now. How much of that is just the space I'm in, doing the work every single day with the medicine, with all the other work that we talk about. But so I've experienced no sleep to amazing sleep.
Yeah, it's a thing I think people often don't really think about. We reach for sleeping pills or the things that we think we can use to hack the reason that we're not sleeping without really understanding. When we sleep, we have access to our unconscious, all the murky, dark things that are lurking down there. And if we're struggling to sleep, in all likelihood, there's something down there that we don't want to look at. And so the ego is fighting to stay in the known and familiar realm of its waking conscious life, where it feels like it's in control and it can be in the driver's seat. And in doing so, our physical, emotional, mental body suffers because we need that to survive. With Bufo, it's like you practice the muscle of letting go with, I mean, a giant, much bigger ego death than that's experienced when we fall asleep. But it fires up that neural pathway that then allows us to surrender into that space. It also peels back the veil on the stuff that we might be avoiding or unwilling to look at. And like you said, it's not just about the medicine, it's not just about one ceremony, it's about all of the work that happens around that experience to really get people to look at the things that they've been avoiding in their day-to-day life. It impacts every thought, every conversation, everything that we do is influenced by what's going on down there. And yet many people will just bury their head in the sand and refuse to look at it because we prefer the uncomfortable, unfulfilling known to the unknown that could potentially be our wildest dreams and fantasies coming true.
Yeah, there's comfort in the known pain, isn't it? But the sleep, I was thinking about it. It functions on all levels: the mind, the body, and the soul. So when we go to sleep, on a mind level, it's allowing the day's activities to just process into short-term memory, long-term memory. When it comes to the physical level, it's repairing and restoring, and it's the muscles are recovering if you've exercised, and the hormonal balance. All of that's happening on a physical level, and then on a soul level, the dream space where all that unconscious material happens. And in our dream training, we talk about how the psyche likes or demands equilibrium, balance. We might not be aware, but some of our dreams are compensatory dreams. So if we see the world one-sided and a lot of stuff lives in the shadow, the dreams are compensating. We might not remember the dreams, but our psyche is producing those to give us this balance. And so the healing is happening on a mental level, processing the daily experiences, happening on a physiological level, allowing the cortisol and the adrenaline to switch off or slow down and replenish and repair and rejuvenate. But then also on a soul level, it's working to balance the psyche. And so when we don't sleep, or we struggle to sleep over the long term, then our health is suffering on all of those levels.
Yeah, both you and I have worked with different Amazonian plants and dieted, and when you do that process of connecting with the plants, you're also reminded of like how important sleeping is to get access to the dreams, because the dreams are one of the primary vehicles that they communicate with us. It's proper witchy stuff. That is the time when we're like in commune with the other realms. And so we get, yes, from the psyche, the compensatory balancing equilibrium that we need, but also the like scary pings that are coming from outside of ourselves, like the concept coffee ping. That's crazy. That there's a new place that's opened up on Highgate Road that we're going to host our run club and meet at this Sunday. And Mo had a dream about it. Mo had a dream about it before it happened. So there's like little messages that coming in that are just giving us guidance. And I mean, we're fumbling around in the dark a lot of the time without access to this stuff. And I think a lot about Joe Dispenza's work, and like really he's trying to guide people into that dreamlike hypnagogic state, because he's shown through quantum physics that in that state you can manifest your wildest dreams and fantasies. And so this is no joke for people who are suffering with this problem of no sleep. They're cut off from that realm, from that magic, from that guidance that can be so life altering.
Yeah, absolutely. And sleep is probably my favorite time of the day. um, but I also love waking up and get going with all the work that I'm doing as well. But there was a time like sleep was just a chore. Like, oh, I need to get this out of the way. But I really look forward to sleeping now. And I was looking at Brian Johnson, the man who wants to live forever. And for anyone who doesn't know, he had live streamed his Bufo 5-MeO DMT experience. And 10 days after his experience, he posted about what he's experiencing. And I quote, "My body can't sleep enough." He'll sleep 8 hours and then an hour at midday, and then he'll sleep 9 hours again. And so this is the most logic, scientific guy there is. I talked about my gadgets. I've got rid of my gadgets, but this guy's got more gadgets than we can even imagine. And so this is what he is saying, like tracking his sleep and everything else. Um,
And he goes to bed at 8 p.m. That's it, the dream. I have always, even since I was a child, been someone that wanted to go to bed really early. And my parents would comment, I've got two sisters as well, but they would say, you were the one that always would take yourself off to bed before we put you to bed. You wanted to go to sleep. And so, right from childhood, I always wanted sleep and could fall asleep. But my issue was that I was hypervigilant even when I was asleep. So I would wake up to the smallest sound. And from that place, all hell would break loose. It was like when I was awoken from this sleep, just felt like overcome with rage that my dear sweet sisters have been on the receiving end of many times in earlier years, where you were living together and they'd come home and I'd hear the front door shut and I'd just come out and I just start screaming at them, and like, that all of that rage and anger was in me, but in my waking conscious life it was like I could push it all down and not have to deal
mm,
with it. But when my sleep was disturbed, just like all hell would break loose, and that was emotional suppression, a combination of emotional suppression and hypervigilance and fear that was keeping me away from getting that, really, because there's different sleep states as well. And I was not ever going into the sort of deep and REM sleep. I was staying in a very light surface level sleep. And through, working with plant medicine and that journey of clearing out the all of the repressed emotional energy in my body, I sleep too well, too well. Like, someone could break into my house and be robbing me, and I would probably sleep through it. Maybe there's a midpoint. Maybe I need a few more traumas just to.
but you've got Rocco now at the sight of
Oh
a
God, yeah.
pox.
I mean, that really helps us. That really helps the sleep as well. Although I think I told you this, like, so he sleeps in the bed with me, and he literally threw up next to my head, and I didn't wake up. That's the level of deep sleep I'm getting these days. Yeah, so yeah, it was kind of gross actually. It was a huge hairball, and anyway, not the best way to to start the day. Why do you think it is that people find like surrendering into a state of sleep in a small way so challenging, which kind of also maps onto why people find surrendering into a bufo experience or a plant medicine experience so challenging?
Yeah, so you mentioned the word hypervigilance. Could be overthinking. The mind just is switched on. So we have the nervous system, and there's two parts. We have the sympathetic, which is like the accelerator to be switched on when we're active and alert, and we talk about fight or flight, but it's the waking space. And then we have the parasympathetic, which is like the break, where it's the rest and digest and slowing down. And for those people who are just on all the time, the nervous system can't switch off. And part of it is protecting yourself, part of it is You know, I've been there where I'm trying to go to sleep and I'm thinking about all the things that have happened in the past. And if only I did this or if I did that, maybe it would have been different. And I'm playing out all the scenarios in the future, projecting. And so, like, all of these voices just keep us in that space. And it goes back to last week's topic of control and the conscious mind wanting to protect itself and staying safe, and we see that happening in the ceremony space, whether it's mushrooms or ayahuasca, like that waiting period. So much is going on. Have I taken the right dose? Have I prepared well enough? Did I observe the dieta? Like all these voices, or what time is it? um and so there are parallels to the mind being switched on to then surrendering and letting go, um, which is the space we want people to be in or to be able to access.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's sort of cortisol trap as well in a physiological sense of like the stress because we can't sleep and then we don't get enough sleep and then we feel more stressed and then it just our bodies are not built to function without sleep and also just to be in the level of constant chronic stimulation that we're exposed to the way that we live in the modern world is not supportive of our sleep. Like Brian Johnson's, he's sleeping in his Faraday cage. Well, I don't actually know if that's true, but that's apparently what he's sleeping in this cage that blocks out EMF and other different electronic frequencies, the blue light blocking glasses, like all the works to really preserve his sleep. But I think it's so easy to just get into the cycle of having that high stress level that just continues to maintain itself. And it's also a big act of trust to let go in that moment and surrender into the unknown. And if the psyche doesn't have that feeling of safety, then it's just going to cling on. Some of the BS that comes up just before you go to sleep in your head, it's utter drivel. I remember that person that I dated in 2014. I wonder what happened there. Or, yeah, my dad's coming for dinner in 2 days' time. I wonder what I should cook. These are not a 9 p.m.
No,
decision, but the ego is doing whatever it can to tell you, like, this is pressing, stay here now.
yeah, wanting to stay on.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, Mo, we should probably wrap things up, start winding down for our 8 p.m. blue light blocking glasses and curfew
Yeah,
before bedtime.
I can't. I've even got rid of the gadgets. I can't remember where my glasses, the orange glasses. I did it all. I did it all, and I'm happy now that I don't rely on. And there are sleep hygiene basics. Like I now my rules are I don't look at my phone. And WhatsApp is switched off. I don't open my phone during the night to read messages. It's just the time, the alarm, and that's it. And so yeah, we can carry on, but I think get those glasses out. Wind down.
Practice what we preach. Thank you so much,
My
Mo.
pleasure,
And
Melissa.
next week, unless we're derailed by synchronicities again, we're going to talk about childhood trauma and using Bufo to clear long-standing emotional patterns and imprints. But you never know. Trust the uncertainty, the
Yep.
unknown.
Listen to the dreams.
Thanks so much, Mo.
Pleasure, Melissa. I'll see you
Bye.
soon.
See you soon.